Alright guys, thanks for coming tonight. This talk is about CLI and Phar, developing and distributing your very own command line utilities. You've probably seen this before. I think this is my third talk here. My name is David Frame. Started using PHP way back whenever. Primarily interested in OOP, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Currently a senior developer at 31 Interactive, and I still haven't fixed that. I meant to fix that easily. Okay, quick introduction to what this talk's all about here. As the subject goes, it's going to be split into two parts, and I'm going to have a short little break in the middle. It's really like a two-part talk. It's CLI is its own subject, Phar files its own subject. Short break, it's only going to be a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, file them at me, but it's just a little period of time to let me catch my breath again. The majority of it's going to involve live coding. So please bear with me. I haven't actually done this before. Okay, I haven't actually had talks, or I've done talks here, but I haven't coded live. And most of you have, or the guys have done before have. The final code is going to be placed on GitHub, so keep an eye on PHPBelfast for the URL. Okay. So part one of the talk: command line utilities. Who has used a command line utility before? Who hasn't used a command line utility before? You all know what they are. The thing is, why create them? Why actually create your own command line utility? Well, the point of this talk isn't really to give you that information. I'm just really giving you a sort of overview. It really depends on your needs. If something sort of strikes you as a particular reason why you might need one. This talk is really just about how you can go about creating one. Some of the reasons, though, you might have like general maintenance. For example, if you commonly run tasks and things on a production server, virtual server, whatever, wherever you're hosting a website, and you find yourself doing the same sort of tasks over and over and over again, whether that involve clearing cache files, clearing temporary files, renaming files, doing whatever. Sort of fits along with what Tom was saying there about deployment. If after doing your deploy, if you need to run like another stage, another step that you need to customize yourself, perhaps you might want to have a command line utility that lives on that server and you can run as part of your deployment. So that's one option. Testing and quality assurance. A lot of the testing utilities that you may have used or may not have used in PHP are command line utilities, things like PHP units, PHP spec, bhat. There's quite a lot of them. You might want to roll your own sort of solution there. Any sort of testing that you might want to do yourself, maybe check things like coding standards or code quality before you actually put something on a server. Maybe write a command line utility to do that. Code generation standardization. Some frameworks, PHP frameworks, have like scaffolding apps, scaffolding utilities that come with them. Say you'll type like a make controller, and that'll create you a controller in your application. It'll all be sort of ready to go. You just need to go in and it'll have made this skeleton file for you. You might want to write something similar yourself for your own project, and as a result of that there, you end up with some sort of standardization as well. All files will be created the same way. They'll be the same sort of general templates, and it's quite a good, consistent way of doing things. API consumption. If you need a command line utility to talk to, I don't know, Twitter, Facebook, make a post for you, read posts, whatever. There's a world of opportunities right there. Deployment distribution. Again, sort of fitting in with what Tom had said. Maybe you would like to create your own, roll your own deployment engine. Sort of decide, well, Capistrano is not really for me. The things that are out there don't really work for this project. Can I make one myself? Can I actually create a command line utility that will take a project and put it on a server? You can, of course you can. This is one way of doing it. Have fun and profit. Just mess around. You know, create a command line utility, play around with it, do whatever general tasks, play a game with it, make a small, simple game. When I started programming, when I started learning any particular language, I guess, one of the first things I'll do is write a command line utility. So take like the interface, like any sort of windows and things like that there that are coming up, take that out of the equation, just focus on the language itself. And this is another way of sort of doing that. You're not having to worry about HTML, CSS, whatever else. You're focusing on raw PHP code. It's a good way of playing with that, tinkering with it, and so on. Okay. So a list of popular CLI utilities written in PHP. Composer, of course. Hopefully everybody here is aware of Composer. We are going to be using it later. PHP unit in test utility. WP CLI, if you use WordPress, there's a command line utility that comes with that there, and does some maintenance tasks. Laravel, Artisan Elixir, Symfony Application Console, ZF Tool if you're using Zen Framework, Deployer, which is a deployment engine, many more. That was just what came off the top of my head. Several of the previously mentioned utilities were developed using a popular, easy-to-use CLI component. It's called Symfony/Console, Symfony Console. Composer uses it. Laravel's Artisan uses it. All of the Laravel command line utilities use it actually. It's getting a lot of prominence just because it's so easy to use and it's easy to work with. So today we're going to develop something with it too. Now, don't get your hopes up. It's not very powerful. It's not very interesting. It's just a really basic demo to show you how this stuff works. Okay, so let's begin. No, yes, part 2 is coming later. Okay, let's minimize this down then. Yes, one thing I should say as well, this laptop I'm using is a piece of crap. It's really slow, so you'll have to bear with me sometimes. It is, yeah, it's not great. As you can see right here, it's decided to just sort of freeze up. Okay, right. So do I...
Andy, buy my MacBook.
What?
Okay, losing that would be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure. Tried that, it wasn't. Okay, so we're going to use PHP Storm for this. So yeah, let's just fire ahead. We're going to create a brand new project. And later on I'll be copying in a couple of files that I've sort of created earlier, just because it's a bit too much to code in. But we're starting from scratch from now. So what is the first thing we need to do? Well, let's ignore PHP Storm for a moment. Let's go into terminal. Okay. Did everybody see this all right? Yeah? Okay. So what are we going to call this? Okay, let's just call it greater. I wonder what this is going to do. Now I mentioned before that we're going to use Symfony Console, so we need to put this in our application here. We need to include it in. We're going to use Composer to do that. So we can simply do Composer. Not really going to worry about any sort of versions or anything like that. I'm just going to run this. It's taking a while. It's probably having a little think about it. Stop linking. Finally, thank you very much. Now, this is only included in one library, okay, as you can see, Symfony Console. There aren't any dependencies, there's not a whole lot of stuff coming into this. One component, Symfony Console, and that will allow us to do what we're going to do here. Quite similar. So let's go and open this folder in PHP Storm, if it lets me. This might take a second just because it's going to index that vendor folder that's been created by Composer. So you can see down this right hand side here, it's got this progress bar. I'll just take it for a second. I daren't do anything while it's indexing, trust me. Maybe Phar has it. So here's our project, ready to go. Reader, we've got our vendor folder here, composer JSON file, load this up. So you can see we're running in Symphony Console. Just as an aside before we continue on here, everybody is familiar with Composer, yeah? What's going on there? It's basically just a utility. If you aren't familiar with it, it's a utility that pulls in libraries, PHP libraries from the internet, and handles things like auto loading, so you can use those libraries without having to put in require statements all over the place. If you aren't aware of Composer, get aware of Composer. Right, so let's actually start writing some code here. So we'll create a new file, and let's just call it razor.php. Now the example I'm going with here is it's been pulled from the Symphony Console docs. The Symphony website has really good documentation for all of the Symphony components, and there's an example one on there that basically it's just like a hello world command line utility. That's really what we're going to code here. So this is based off of it. It sort of goes off in a weird direction later, but for the time being. So that's the way here. The first thing we're going to need to do is, because we're using Composer, we need to require in the autoload file from Composer. That is the new file. Let's see if under. Thank you. So, how do we actually make a CLI application with this? Let's do application equals new application was autocomplete. Yes, it has, but it didn't put the namespace for me. Application equals new application. Let's give it a name. PHPBelfast. Let's give it a version. Let's call it 1.0.0. And what now? Well, just run. And that, believe it or not, has just created us a console application. Okay, CLI. How do we run it? Well, I'll switch to my terminal here. I'm already in the right folder. So we can see greeter.php. I'll do, for the time being, let's do php greeter.php. And it's thinking about it again. There we go. Does this look familiar at all? Looks a hell of a lot like Composer and several other utilities you might have seen before. That's because Composer is using Symphony Console. It's using exactly the same library. It's just added various commands to this here to support Composer's functionality. So, this doesn't do very much, funnily enough. If you have a look at this here stuff, the options, it's just stuff that is common to all of these applications and utilities. Help, quiet, verbose, version, ANSI, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry too much about that stuff. The available commands, these are the commands that you can actually run within this utility, okay? The two default ones, help, displays help for a command, list, lists the commands that are available. Seems like a bit of a pointless one, that list. You're already seeing the commands whenever you just run it without any arguments. I don't know, whatever. But obviously this utility doesn't do very much, okay? The way we make it do something, we need to create a command for it, okay? So let's do that now. Just for this sort of first example, I'm not taking into account like best practice coding and stuff like that there. I'm going to create a class here. I'm just going to plunk it straight in this file. We're going to refactor this stuff in the next step. This is just to get us off the ground. So let's create a command called hello command, and we need to extend that. I don't know what's not importing these namespaces. What was last night? That's command, extends command. Okay, so what do we need in this? Well, there's two methods. Each command will take or will accept by default. First one is called configure. Inside this here, you're basically just sort of giving a bit of information about the command. You're saying what is it called and what does it actually do. So this set name, and we're going to just call this hello. So use a fluent interface here. So we can also do then set description and say hello PHPBelfast. Great. Okay. That's all configure really does. It just sort of configures the command. It doesn't deal with the actual functionality of the command. It doesn't really perform any actions. To do that, we need to create another method called function execute. Now there's two parameters for this. One is called input interface. And again, I'll import this. While I'm here, I will put in output interface. Okay, so this exec command accepts an input interface and, oddly enough, an output interface. These two objects that go into execute are the way you sort of manipulate your application. Okay, the input you can deal with user input. The output is what you use to send data back out to the console. Okay, so that the individual can execute it. And this will all become pretty obvious when I type the next line, which is output right line. Oops, jello there. Okay. And that's all we really need for our hello command. So it's done. But of course we need to let our application know about it. We need to let it know that that actually exists. And that's as easy as doing application add new command. Just like that. Okay. So let's run this, see what actually comes out. Same stuff, except you'll see now under available commands there's a new one. Hello. What do you think is going to happen if you type greater hello? Hello there. Okay? So we've just added a new command to this application. Not very interesting, obviously, but that is the procedure involved in actually doing that. Building up your applications, creating new command classes, feeding them into the application, which then manages these commands, runs them, displays configuration information, whatever else. Okay. Now, I mentioned before that we're going to do refactoring here. This is sort of to prepare for the later step, which is to create a Phar file for this. So, what are we actually going to do here? Well, let's create a new folder called src, and within this we're going to create. Yeah, okay. src new file. PHP. So we're extracting this class out into its own file. Okay, I'm not going to be using any PHP storms, funky refactoring stuff, extraction stuff. I'm just going to be doing it manually here, mainly because I don't really know how to do that. So let's just copy all of this for the time being. PHP characters. So what do we need? What do we not need? We don't need this require once auto load. That's already been loaded in by our main sort of entry point into the application. We don't need this here, application. We're only dealing with the specifics for these commands. We top this out. Okay. So let's check to see if it's all good. Yes, it is. Good. So there's our hello command, and it's now living in its own little class file, which is good. Nice and neat and tidy. So we can now then remove the stuff from this greeter. So again, we don't need this stuff, I don't think. We also don't need a class, but we do need to wire it in. Greeter, hello command. Now, second thing we're going to do here is create a bin folder, as in binary. Now, if you're used to working with like a Mac OS or Linux or Unix or whatever, you know that this bin folder tends to contain binary utilities, things that you actually run. So we're going to create one because that's exactly what we're creating. And we're going to move greeter.php into that, like so. Excuse me. Now, have we got this all set up? No, we don't. We need to add in a couple of dots there. And I'm going to make one more little change here. So we're going to put in like this hash bang thing. This is really for when this gets run on the command line, we can run it without typing PHP first. So it runs as like a true command line utility. And in order to do this, we need to let the shell know that this needs to run through PHP to actually work correctly. So to do that, we're going to do yes, user bin PHP, like so. Okay. Right. You'll see here, this is squawking out a wee bit. Use greeter hello command. It's this greeter thing. I haven't done anything with greeter yet. Let's go back into our hello command. And at the top here, I'm going to do namespace greeter. Like so. So this hello command class now exists within this greeter namespace. Keeps things nice and neat. But to get this auto-loaded into your application, we now need to update our composer JSON. You need to add in the autoload stuff, which is autoload. It's piece of work. I'm going to do greeter. Like so. Now, if you didn't really understand what was happening there, don't worry too much about it. This is all just being done through Composer. To let our application know where these files within the namespace of greeter actually lives. So if we reference them in any part of our application, it loads it directly. We don't need to require them in ourselves manually. Okay. Now, one thing we'll need to do then, now that we've actually changed that, we need to run Composer. Done. Upload. Typo. Generating autoload files. Great. So, now we've done this, just doing an CLI here, just to make sure. Okay, so we've sort of refactored a bit, played around, moved things around. Let's just make sure that it's still working. Okay, so greeter.php. First we'll just do greeter.php. Yeah, we've still got our application. Now, remember that hash bang thing I added? That means, in theory, we don't need to use PHP now. We don't need to use PHP before we call this. We just do chmod_x, set it to be executable, greeter.php. Now, if we just do this, it works. Okay. We can do one more thing. We can move greeter.php to greeter. So, now we just have a file called greeter. It works exactly the same way. Okay. So it's starting to resemble something more like you would see as a command line utility. No prefixes, no having to use PHP beforehand. You just run this as a utility. So let's start adding some additional functionality to this because it doesn't do very much. And at the end of it, it's still not going to do very much, but just bear with me. For now, we're going to really just focus on this hello command PHP. We're just going to play with this hello command, add a few things to it, make it do a couple of extra little things, okay? Just to demonstrate what you can actually achieve using this library. I'm going to include in Symphony. Yes, I'll do console. Argument. So the idea here is that we want to add an argument to command line utility. We want the user to be able to add some data into this, flag with some data, and it'll do something with that data. Okay? We want to add an argument to command line utility. How do we do that? Well, it's really about the configuration of the command. So within our configure method, we'll do, funnily enough, add argument. And we will do that. Okay, so there's three parameters to this. The first will be the name of the argument. Second is the nature of whether it's required or not. So the argument, and we're going to say that this is optional. There are different things you can use here. You can say optional, required, whatever it stands. And we're going to describe the argument. To you. So this command now knows about this extra argument. It knows to accept this. It knows to do something with it. But it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what to do with it. It knows to accept it, but nothing to do with it. So within our execute method, this is where we'll actually take the user's argument and do something with it. We're not going to do anything particularly fancy with it. We're just going to do input. See, we're now using this input object, using the input interface. Input get arguments. Name. Okay. If name, else. Done. Okay. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're getting this name argument, and I'm going to say hello to name. Otherwise, it's hello there. Let's run it. Hello, see behavior. But before we actually do anything, let's view the help. Remember this build command here, help? You can type help and pass in the name of a command. Okay, you can actually see the, so help, and put in hello. So usage hello, name. So it knows to accept this additional argument now. It's going to list the argument, name, who you want to say hello to. So that's helpful. Hello there, David. Okay. It's pretty simple stuff still. One thing to watch out for, if I put in my full name here, this is going to error. Too many arguments. This is a fairly common thing in any command line utility. It's because of the way it breaks up the argument chain, it thinks that my surname in this case is another argument. The application itself isn't aware of another argument, and so throws an exception. The way we get around this, again, a fairly common thing to do, wrap it in quotes, turn it back. Let's add something else. So underneath input argument here, I'm going to put in input option. So we passed in an argument, but now we want to add in an option as well. So, is there some optional thing we want to do with our command? We're already passing a name into it. Do we want to have another flag that says do something particular with this name? Let's add one. Let's call it yellow. First parameter is the name of the command, or the name of the option. Second parameter is like a shorthand. And we're going to do input option. Again, just sort of determining whether this is optional or not, or sorry, default value. Value none. So the default value of this here, if it isn't specified, is none. So if set, you will that. Okay, so we've told the command, or we've told this command about an additional option that's going to be accepted. Again, we're not doing anything with it. Let's add that in mind. We're already getting the name, so we need to do a little bit of around here. equals okay, so we're just moving things around a wee bit there. That gives us an option to do this. Good. That option, yeah. Do text. Text equals str. Pretty clear what's going to happen there. If the CL option is passed in, it's going to uppercase the text. We can also add in something a little new here. Symphony Console allows you to format the text in certain ways. You can pass in sort of semantic style tags to let the application know what the nature of the message is, whether it's an error, confirmation, information, whatever else. So in this case, it's not very semantic, but we'll just use this for the formatting. We'll just say that this is an error. And run it again. Before we run into complete help. So you can see usage, hello, and now I've got this additional little thing here. So you can either pass in -y or -l in the name as before. So creator help, I'll pass in before, same thing. But if we do at the end, help. Okay. So one more thing then, before I actually sort of move on, or take a little break and move on to the Phar stuff. Symphony Console has a couple of helpers, a few helpers, and they're all quite useful. One of them allows you to actually prompt user for input within your command. Okay, we're going to do that now. Right here, we're going to import in another namespace, Symphony components, console question. Okay, so question. Now at this point, this is a helper thing, and it's not directly tied into the command, so we don't need to let the command itself know about this. We don't need to configure the command to let it know that we're asking a secondary question. We can just jump down into the execute part. And from here, right after we do this, we can then say, well, okay, helper equals this get helper. The syntax behind this is a wee bit funny. It can be difficult to understand. Just sort of roll with it, that's what I do. Question. Okay. And question equals new question. So let's go for 100 times. I need to say hello. Okay. Now these things normally have defaults, and they're normally specified something like this here in square brackets. It just means that if somebody sees this question, hits enter, the default will be used, and it's a visual reference that this is what the default is. Okay. So how do we actually make use of this? Well, let's grab a new variable called times. Let's do helper and ask. Now we need to pass in input again, output again, question. Okay, so we're fetching the result of this question. If one isn't set, we can just do zero shorthand operator and set it to 1. Okay, that's the default. So, 0, let's equal 2 times 1. And that's us. So if we run this as before, and now it asks me how many times do you want to say hello? Let's go 5, it says it 5 times. Okay. Run it again, just hit enter, it says it once. Okay. That's pretty much it for the console, guys. I know it's a really simple example, a really sort of silly simple example. But hopefully you can sort of get a gist of how you can build things up from here. You can start configuring your commands, create a command to do whatever you need it to do, ask for whatever parameters you need, arguments, options, ask for additional user input if you want, and just build things up from there. So this is just like a really sort of basic overview of the sort of functionality that's available through Symfony console. There's more, there's a lot more. If you go and check the docs, the Symfony docs are really, really good, really verbose, give you a lot of information, a lot of examples, and they're very, very helpful. So definitely check them out. Okay. So that is us for the console bit. I'm going to take just like a few minutes break here so I can grab a drink of water. And if anybody has any questions about this here stuff before we move on to the Phar file generation, so what's that?
David, it's not a question, but I did a bunch of CLI stuff like 2 weeks ago, and I guess that this topic happened a couple of weeks ago because I'm now looking at it going, balls.
Some of the stuff, like, I mean, some of it's pretty clear, like the options and arguments thing, it's fine, but the like of the helper stuff there, with asking for user information, that's not really, because that's not part of Symfony console per se, it's not part of like the default functionality, it's kind of buried away in the docs. So you don't, if you go and actually browse the documentation for Symfony console, you don't really hear anything about that. You'll maybe see, just like buried away at the bottom or in the middle of one of the pages, is this thing about helpers. It's like, oh, what's helpers? And then you click on this one that looks like question helper. What's that? Click on that, and suddenly you're finding out about all this additional functionality you can add. So it's not clear from the offset. You do have to sort of hunt around, browse around, find it, and see what exactly you're talking about. But it's quite a comprehensive package. And the simple fact that Composer was written by Sebastian, the Symfony fellow, as obviously some Symfony console has been. But the fact that many other command line utilities are using this library is a pretty good sign that it's quite a good library to be actually using. You could do all this stuff yourself manually. You could just code in all of the logic to accept the parameters and stuff yourself within PHP, but you're not going to get any of this nice sort of object-oriented functionality behind it. You're not going to get any of the helpers, the utilities. You have to all spin them yourselves. And what's the point? Why reinvent the wheel? Something like this can be done so easy.
It's a good example of always having a look at packages to see if there's a thing to give you a hand or something.
Yeah,
because you reinvented some of that.
Yeah.
And didn't implement a lot because there's no helpers for my stuff. And yeah, I'm thinking I should rewrite it over the weekend. Great. Thanks, Dave.
Sorry, man, sorry. Yeah, I think I did something similar, actually, when I first played with this. I think I knew that helper thing about asking for user information. I needed that for the thing I was working on at the time, and I didn't realize that helper existed. Yeah. I was like, how the hell am I going to do this now? Like so within my commands where it's executing, do I need to put out some sort of, sort of breakout of this sort of these objects that have been created, and do raw PHP to ask for user input or something? How the hell do you do this? And they ended up clutching together something, and then realized that existed, and the work had already been done, and it made it a hell of a lot easier. So yeah, like Ryan's saying, use packages, hunt around. If you want to do something and you can't figure out a way of doing it, and you think, I need to build my own solution here, chances are somebody's already done it anyway. So just hunt around. That's the fortunate thing about the PHP community these days, because it's so large, because there's so many people using PHP. There's a solution to every problem, really. You just need to know where to look. And once you do know where to look, your workflow just speeds up dramatically because of that. Right, let's move on. I need to watch the time here, actually, I just realized it's 10 now. Okay, R2 Phar. Does everybody know what Phar is? I'm going to tell you in the next slide anyway. I don't know why I asked. It's an acronym of PHP archive format. For PHP.net, the manual says the Phar extension provides a way to put out entire PHP applications into a single file called Phar PHP archive for easy distribution and installation. But all things considered, it's a bit of a flop. The reason behind that is, say you write a library that you want to open source, get all these great files together, it's all like well documented internally, lots of doc blocks, everything's well constructed, and you want to put it out there in the wild. Why would you then put it in a Phar file where people have to like, dig around inside or extract it or whatever to actually see your code and work with your code? It's not good for library development. But it's a perfect way to bundle and distribute CLI utilities, like the one we just created. By putting all of these files together into one single file, you're not having to share around composer libraries, vendor packages, lots of different files, blah, blah, blah. You can just have one utility, one file that contains all of that inside it, and run that as your command line utility. Okay? So it's perfect for what we're doing. How does it work? Well, it's a wee bit tricky, and I'm going to show you, hopefully, within this. This is where I'm going to start pasting in some code from outside, simply because some of the stuff is a wee bit, not complicated, but a bit verbose, and a wee bit overreaching. So, bear with me as we work through this. This is not going to take too long to do. There's only a couple of steps here, and then it'll be released. Okay, so there we go. Let's close this down. Now, the refactoring we did earlier has already put this into the sort of format we want it to be in to distribute our stuff. Okay. It's all nice and clean. Things are pretty clear where they are. Greeters in bin folder, source codes in the SRC folder, got vendor, composer stuff, whatever else, that's fine. The way we're going to work this though is we're going to create a new folder called dist. This is where the Phar file is going to live when we create it. Okay? We're going to create another little utility here that will compile up a Phar file out of the source code we've already written. The result will go in this dist folder. It's, again, a fairly common convention. You'll see it quite a lot in libraries that have command line utilities with them. Excuse me. Just in, not even outside of the PHP community, it's quite a common thing to see. Excuse me. So we're going to create another folder here called the compiler. Inside this here, this is where we're going to have a script that actually compiles up, generates our Phar file. Now, in order to do that, we actually need another composer library. Okay, we're going to install something called Symfony Finder. It's another Symfony component. It allows you to quickly go through the file system, finding certain files, excluding files. It's like a really advanced glob if you've used glob before. So we're going to install that in compiler, and we can just install this directly into this folder. I know we already have vendor stuff outside of this, but there's nothing stopping us from putting something in here as well. Symfony Finder. Hopefully this will be quicker than the last time. I'll take a drink of water anyway. Or maybe not. There we are. Okay, so Symfony Finder has been installed here. So this is good to go. Again, we can just do an LSLA. So we see our composer stuff in our vendor folder. It's all good to go. I'll open this in PHP Storm, just let it index again. Oh, looks like it's done it anyway. Sweet. Right, we're going to need to copy in the file now. The actual script that does the compilation, I've already written it. I'm just going to paste it in this project. Come on. Belfast, it's in here somewhere, CLI, okay, compile.php. Going to hump this into this folder, like so. Yes, good, great. So this is our compiler script, and I'm going to shoot through this. I'm not going to go into the detail of why this works. I'm just going to blast through it really quickly. We're importing Finder here, getting that ready for use. We're going to set up a few paths and names and things. We're determining here that our Phar file is called reader.phar. Okay, determining where this is going to live. If it already exists, get rid of it, because we're going to recompile. We're creating this new Phar object, passing in the details from above. Sort of starting the Phar compilation process here. I'm not really going to go into what's happening, because I'm not really sure myself. Whatever, it works. Finder, new Finder. So Finder is the bit where we're going to go through our files we've generated so far, and we're going to selectively pick which ones we want in our Phar file. Okay. This bottom instruction here is the Finder in application path. This by default then is going to select every file, but we don't want the compiler directory we've created here, this folder. We don't want this in our Phar file. It doesn't need to be in there. This only needs to be part of this project in order to compile the Phar file to begin with. Dist, well, that's where the Phar file is going to live. So we definitely don't want that in our Phar file. We'll end up with some crazy recursion going on there. And we don't want our composer files here, so .json, .log. Again, absolutely no need for those to be in there. Might as well just get rid of them. We do, of course, need the bin folder. We need src, where the source code lives. And we need the vendor folder, because we're still going to be making use of all of those, the Symfony components, the actual console component itself. Items found. This will simply loop around the resulting files that is formed by this here. Actually, sorry, I'll get the count here. I'm just getting the count. For each then will loop around those files. And it'll add each directory, or each empty directory, and then each file to the Phar file that we're creating. Okay? There's a little extra craft here that just sort of shows I get percentage done, which you'll see in just a moment. This here a little bit, content equal file, get contents, blah, blah, blah. This is removing, remember this hash bind thing that was added to the reader.bin file? It's here at the top. We don't want that in our Phar file. Okay, it's going to confuse things. We want to get rid of that. Set it to blank here, and then write out bin reader as this content. So we're getting the contents, placing that out, storing the contents back into this bin reader file within the Phar file. Stub is like a header. Okay, the Phar file, each Phar file has like a header. It's a bit of PHP code really. It's just letting them know about the PHP environment again. It's mapping itself to its own file name. I don't know why. But it's also saying that the entry point for this Phar file is bin reader. Okay, that's quite important. That's us telling the Phar file that when you run, if you're running the command line, you have to run this. You're being pointed at this. So that's pretty pivotal, all of this. All compiler just stops PHP at that point. Phar, set stub, grab that stub, stop buffering, unset Phar. That's it. Okay, that's all we need to do then to actually create our Phar file. So let me just check to see that I'm good here. Yep. So let's compile. Right, we have everything we need, or we seem to need. We're in the compiler folder here, so you can see compile.php. This is not really a command line utility per se, it's just a PHP script that we're just going to run. Okay? PHP compile.php. And error. Okay? Big error. What is this all about? Well, as it turns out, a default installation of PHP doesn't allow you to build Phar files. There's a setting in the PHP any file that actually disables that. It's like a security measure. So in this case, we're going to have to turn that off. So we're going to do sudo gedit, and it's in cphp, CLI, PHP any. Be running. PHP5, CLI, any. So far up, here. from my laptop. Okay. Search, find, and Phar. Okay, so this here, Phar.read-only, on. By default, even with this commented out, the default is on. Okay, so we need to uncomment this and set it from on to off. Done. Quit this. Ignore all of those weird errors that are appearing there. So let's try our compile again. And before we do that, I'm just going to full screens. Okay, ready? Now the percentage stuff, that was like hard-coded in that compile.php. I added that myself, it's not part of the process. It's handy, it's a bit pointless here because it runs so quickly. If you're dealing with something that has a lot of libraries installed, a lot of vendor stuff, there's a lot of files to go into this. It takes time. It actually takes time to create these Phar files. So it's handy sometimes to get some sort of indication of where it is in the process. So go into our list folder, creator.phar. No, it's still got this Phar nonsense, we don't want that. Let's move it to actually, let's tell you what, let's copy it to Phar bin. Can't do that, that's user local bin. So we will chmod it, creator.phar, so again. And we will rename it Phar Creator. Okay. Okay. That's all there really is to that compilation process. Now, one of the last things I'm going to do here is last sheet, I promise. Last thing I'm going to do is, if you've run Composer in the past, if you've run some of these utilities, there's a really handy task, handy command that is in some of these, which is self-update. The utility will actually update itself, and that's exactly what we're going to add to this here. Now again, I'm going to have to copy something in, but it's fairly self-explanatory when you see how it works. Okay, so here's the compiler, we don't need to do anything more with that, that's done. The compilation process itself never has to change now. We're doing exactly what we need to do. Source folder, we're going to copy in another file. You might have noticed this earlier, self-update command. Okay. And we're all good to go here. Now before I walk through this here, this is a new command obviously. We need to let our application actually know about it, know what it is. So let's go back in the bin, creator, down we're doing this here stuff, and add in self-update command, and of course need to import it. Self-update command. So, okay. So let's really quickly just blast through this here. Importing all the usual stuff that you saw before. You're setting a download URL. This is where the latest version of the application lives. Okay, so as the project maintainer, you would constantly be updating this website and adding in your Phar file, the latest version, putting it on here. Self-update command goes to this here, downloads from that. Configure, we're just setting name and description again, self-update, update this version. Protect function execute, blah blah blah, it's the same stuff as before. This time though, again, setting some file names, tempter, latest version. Under that website, we'll just have a blank text file, a simple text file called version, which is the version of the utility that's sitting on the web server. Okay. What we will do is grab that, just using file get contents, and use this handy function in PHP called version compare. which will compare the current version of our current application. Remember, it is set here, set version 1.00. It'll compare that to the version we get when we download that version file. Here we go. If the version of the utility on the server is greater than this here one, put out a line saying we're updating it. We're going to download the Phar file from the server, stick it in a temporary location. We're then going to replace the current Phar file that we're running at that time with the version that we've just downloaded. Okay, it's just a swap, straight swap. Once that's done, if that fails, I put an error obviously. Once that's done, we do a couple of other things, set permissions, and a few other bits and pieces here. There's a couple of things here like Phar, new Phar, stuff needs to happen. It's all silly, but this basically just replaces our Phar file. And at the end, you're using the latest version of Reader. Okay. So let's get this a run. Let's see what happens. Actually, no, let's not get this a run. Let's compile it first. Okay. Oops, sorry. So we need to do PHP. Okay. Let's just run this as PHP before without doing anything with it. You can see this command at the bottom, self-update. Description, update greater to this version, funnily enough. And let's just mess with this a wee bit. Let's just move this to Phar reader. So we should have something that's executable there, reader. Yep. And let's copy it to use local bin again. Okay, so we can see at the top here, version 1.0.0, we've got our self-update command, and it just so happens that on that server is version 1.0.1. Okay, so let's do greater, and we'll use sudo just in case. Sudo greater self-update. We're now using the latest version, the leading edge version of the reader. So if we run it, let's see right up at the top there, v1.0.1, you can see we have this new command. Goodbye. Okay, let's run that. And we're done. So that's us. So we've created a command line utility. We've bundled it into a Phar file. We've put that on a remote location. We've added a command to update itself from that remote location. All sort of things that you really sort of want to have in a command line utility. I've just kind of described how to do that. So the world is your oyster now. Go and create cool things with it. So that's me, guys. Thanks very much. The source code for this here, like I said before, will be going on GitHub. So if anybody wants to play around with it, by all means. And that's us. Does anybody have any questions at all? No? Just want to get to the bar, don't you?
What's your GitHub?
Me too.
What's your GitHub?
Oh, it's github.com/, I think it's DEFRAME. But it'll be tweeted out whenever it's ready to go. There's not very, the stuff on there, and it's not very interesting. Okay, guys. Thank you very much.